Some are calling it a breakthrough in drug detox programs. They say by sending specific electrical frequencies to the brain, this program can break an addict's physical dependency on drugs in just a short time.
That's very interesting. WYMT's John Sondheim spent some time with a group who recently completed this detox program and joins us now with a look ahead at a two-part series detailing the possibilities of this treatment. John?
More than 2 weeks ago, a group of recovering drug addicts arrived at Buckhorn Lake State Park, trying to break free of everything from methadone to Oxycontin, crystal meth to cocaine. Now, those who saw them say they arrived looking haggard and worn down with little or no appetite. Just several days later, take a look at that same group, full of energy, laughing, even playing football. The reason? They say it's because of this box that they wore 24 hours a day for 2 weeks, which attaches to electrodes they wore behind their ears. It's called neuroelectric therapy, or NET, and it sends differing electrical waves to the brain to get it back to a normal state.
But the way this works is by taking away the cravings, restoring the brain to where it was the day before a person started taking drugs.
Okay. I'm 26 now, and I've done a lot of drugs, and I haven't felt this good since then, 8 years ago when I was in high school.
Now, coming up over the next 2 days, we'll hear a lot more from Brandon and some others who recently underwent this NET program and find out just how exactly Eastern Kentucky can play a role in this future of this program. So certainly a lot of people excited that we're involved with this program down at Buckhorn this past week or two.
We'll look forward to your series and all the details. Thank you. Well, it's being called a drug treatment breakthrough. Some even say it makes them feel like they did the day before they first took drugs.
It's a detox program that sends specific electrical frequencies to the brain to break the addict's physical dependency. WYMT's John Sondheim joins us now with the first of a two-part series on this treatment. John?
Well, here in Eastern Kentucky, it's hard to find anyone whose family or friends have not been affected by the drug problem. So recently, leaders of the Kentucky River Area Development District took a chance and brought in a scientist who claimed he could help. Tonight, in the first of a two-part series, we'll take a look at the personal stories of those who say this program to turn their lives around. 24-year-old Ty Purdy says he started abusing drugs at the age of only 14. For 10 years, drugs controlled his otherwise normal life.
I got in a little bit of trouble my senior year. I got busted selling cocaine, and that was the same week I signed my baseball scholarship.
26-year-old Brandon Rogers tells a similar story of addiction, a story filled with pain pills, cocaine, and crystal meth.
I don't know, it took me down quicker than anything I've ever done. I mean, it just grabs a hold of you and don't want to let go.
This is a desperate situation. We have lost a whole generation.
But for these two men and 8 others like them, this story is not about what they've lost, but rather what they found, all over a 2-week period at Buckhorn Lake State Park.
From 0 to 10, poor concentration. 0.
Meet Dr. Graham Giles, a Welsh scientist who administered neuroelectric therapy, or NET, to a group of 10 recovering drug addicts who volunteered for this detox program. Volunteered because they were tired of the bone aches, the vomiting, the shaking associated with coming off drugs, and because for them, other treatments didn't work.
And very quickly after putting this device on, just a few minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, they start to feel the benefits. That gives them confidence to go on.
I hadn't thought clearly in so long that, you don't remember what it's like to be normal. And
one of the guys, he was doing backflips. The other guy was doing push-ups. We were just all doing things that we enjoyed,
Not bad for a group that was described as looking sick, lifeless, and unresponsive just days earlier. A group whose hands once shook with addiction and now clap to say thank you upon their graduation from the program.
And your body's not sick, your mind's not sick. You actually have a choice, and you take time to make that choice.
And for the first time in years, these men say they have a future that now looks wide open. Now, coming up tomorrow, we'll take a much closer look at how this device and how this program actually work, and how some local leaders from Eastern Kentucky are trying to push this treatment process, not only here, but across the country and even the world.
Some say it can stop the withdrawal symptoms and physical cravings for drugs in less than 2 weeks. It's an experimental type of treatment called neuroelectric therapy. WYMT's John Sondheim joins us now with the final part of his series on just what this could mean. John?
Well, yesterday we introduced you to several recovering drug addicts who underwent NET and afterwards told us they felt clear-headed and free of the physical addiction for the first time in many years. Well, today we'll take a look at just how this device and program work and, more importantly, why some are saying it could change the face of addiction. Behind these eyes lies 6 years of addiction, and according to Brandon Rogers, behind these ears lies the solution.
Sometimes it takes trying things to make a believer out of you, and maybe we can make some believers out of people.
For 2 weeks at Buckhorn Lake State Park, 10 recovering drug addicts participated in an experimental detox program called neuroelectric therapy. Now, it's not been FDA approved and even sounded too good to be true for some. A pocket-sized box with pre-programmed cartridges for specific drugs, running on a 9-volt battery with small amounts of electric current running to electrodes placed just behind the ears.
Oh, extremely skeptical. Extremely skeptical. You know,
Of course, what the box is doing is exceptionally complex. It took 30 years to develop.
Designed in the 1970s by Scottish scientist Dr. Margaret Patterson and since updated with more modern technology, Giles says only 50 of the devices exist worldwide.
But the way this works is by, you could say crudely, resetting the brain. It's very, very specific electrical frequencies that mimic what the brain does naturally without dependency on drugs.
This box is an essential part of this program, of course, but it's not the only element of our recovery, and you know, the spiritual part I think is the most important.
To start getting that normality back in 2 or 3 days means we can do group work and individual work, counseling.
Several studies have grouped NET with acupuncture, saying results can be seen, but they appear to be only impressive placebos. But those who went through it now swear by it.
For me, it's a miracle.
As do those who saw the results.
I'm convinced it works. I don't know if it's a placebo effect or what, but it works.
But we want to go through the due diligence to test it amongst scientists and doctors and leaders who can then make the decision about whether to make it widely available or not.
Now, a group at the University of Kentucky is seeing if any investigators would be interested in doing a scientific pilot project on this treatment. Basically, it would be the first step to seek FDA approval. And of course, prices, how widely available this treatment would be, of course, all contingent upon that. But as you've seen, Steve, everyone just really came away pretty impressed with this whole program here. And just not only that, but how much the volunteers gave, including Dr. Giles, who did this all free of charge. So, very interesting.
Very promising too, John.